And welcome back to the channel, all you cyberpunks and retro nerds. I'm your host, Tommy the Hammer, hanging out with Adam McDoogleez and Johnny Rocket. We have let Adam do the pick for this evening. Adam, what's your pick for this evening?
Well, I'm happy to be back on the channel, and so I've decided to go with a movie that's really been on my mind a lot lately. Ooh. It's a 1950s sci-fi classic, Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Yeah.
Full silver case.
Look at that foil cover on that. That's a nice copy.
It's an awesome movie. I saw it when I was real young. I think my stepdad showed it to me first because it's one of his favorites growing up. In my opinion, this is a 1950s gem that still holds up today. Which, you know, you can't necessarily say that about everything made in the 1950s, but it is what it is. It's still fun, but it's not like...
Not everything stands the test of time, it's true.
That's a good point there, Dooglies. I love this movie. John, you've seen it before?
Me and my homie Sam watched this back in the day, but we were probably in high school. It's probably been close to 30 years since I've seen it, so this is overdue for the rewatch.
Well, you guys know this routine. Check out that motherfucking trailer. Peep that shit. And when we get back, you guys are going to know all of our opinions on Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Snatch ya. Give me that body.
I've been snatched.
Listen to me. Please listen. If you don't, if you won't, if you fail to understand, then the same incredible terror that's menacing me will strike at you!
They come from another world, spawned in the light years of space, unleashed to take over the bodies and souls of the people of our planet, bringing a new dimension in terror to the giant super scope screen.
It's whatever intelligence or instinct it is that can govern the forming of human flesh and blood out of thin air is fantastically powerful, beyond any comprehension.
A cursed, dreadful, malevolent thing was happening to those he loved.
This isn't just an ordinary body, is it?
I never saw one like it. It looks unused.
The sensational star discovery of The View from Pompey's Head. And now an undreamed of horror makes her life and love a vortex of fear.
Jack!
Miles, where do they come from?
I don't know.
Suddenly, while you're asleep, they'll absorb your minds, your memories.
I don't want any part of it.
You're forgetting something, Miles.
What's that?
You have no choice.
From city to city, an incredible, hysterical panic spreads. As the unimaginable becomes real, the impossible becomes true.
Stop and listen! Stop and listen to me! Listen! Listen! Listen to me! They're not human! Can't you see? Everyone! They're here already! You're next!
Alright, folks, we just got done watching Invasion of the Body Snatchers, the OG from 1955. And, man, what an absolute treat. Like, I was honestly a little surprised at how good this was for, like, a 1950s film, because, like there's so many movies from back in the day, especially when it comes to black and white films, that, like, they're just, you know, flat out awful, honestly. Like, they're just, you know, the acting is just subpar. Maybe there weren't that many good actors to go around, or they just didn't have the budget to get any good names, or what have you, or just the writing is just whatever, and, like, it's just schlock. But, like, you know, because when you think of, like, you know, old sci-fi horror, I mean, a lot of it is, like, you know, those B movies, the second roll to drive-in, you know, it's just like something, you know, you probably weren't paying attention to because you were there with your best gal or something, you know, you didn't care. But, like, this movie really bucks that trend, and it's got fantastic acting and wonderful writing and a gripping story. You're, like, engaged throughout the whole thing. It's paced really well. Like, this really, it fires on all cylinders. It really does. And it's like, man, that's just... No wonder they remade this in the 70s and again in the 90s. Like, this is just like, man, it's you know, this is a great hit. It's like a really great song that somebody writes it and people just keep covering it over the decades because it's just a great song, you know?
This movie is taking its time because it wants to set up these characters, it wants to set up its plot, and it wants you, the viewer, the audience, to feel the horror. This isn't just some wham, bam, thank you, ma'am type of slasher movie, not that there's anything wrong with that. This is trying to set up dread. Dread is a different thing than, say, slasher or exploitation. So yeah, classic 1950s black and white horror movie, one of the best, one of the top 10, one of the top whatever. It's notorious, and if you've never seen this movie, you're doing yourself a serious disservice.
Yeah, I'm so glad I was able to finally show it to you guys and have it be on Neon Trash, because it's definitely been simmering for a while. It's like one of my faves.
I can see that now. It's like, yeah, it has to be watched.
Yes, it must. And that's the thing about this movie. It's like Tom mentioned it was a slow burn, and indeed it is. And the great thing about it is that it just slowly builds tension all throughout the movie. I mean, you're with the character, you're with the surrounding characters. Kevin McCarthy is perfect for the role. He plays the lead actor, and just in terms of his expressions, in terms of just how he is able to convey emotions. I mean, it's great to be, especially be made in the 50s, a very conformist time period. To be as anti-conformist as this movie was very rebellious and very subversive.
Ballsy.
Honestly,
yeah,
you're right.
And you can look at this movie. This movie has been analyzed many different ways. You know, people see it as either an anti-communist track or an anti-McCarthy track. No relation to Kevin McCarthy, more about Senator Joseph McCarthy. And just just that. You could go either way with this.
It just builds and builds and builds. And you kind of have to, because you need to develop these characters in order to really identify and connect with their humanity, because that's what this is about. So you really have to, get digging deep with these characters. And for me, I don't mind, because there's still you see all these classic 50s sets, and it's 1950s California, and all those great 50s cars, and just little snippets of where they were, whether at the filling station or where they're at the various offices and places around town. It's kind of neat to see this little snapshot of 1950s America, so you can kind of sink yourself into that while you're developing these characters. And then by the time things are starting to get weird, you're like, oh, what's going on here? Things are getting weird, and suddenly it's like, oh man, and if you allow yourself to just kind of sink in and enjoy this.
There's a lot to reflect upon in terms of that whole hive mentality, that tribalism that seems to have engulfed a lot of American life, especially with MAGA.
Yeah.
Just say it.
Yeah,
Say it.
I don't have any problem saying it. Invasion of the Body Snatchers makes a commentary about the Red Hats. It's saying that not everything, let's just look at it this way. Not everything in life is so simple. It can't be answered by just a red hat and some blowhard in office. It just does. We're not only just talking amongst ourselves, those of us that are married, have our wives here, we're all talking about the best horror movies of all time, 1950s horror movies. This is the top 10, 8.5 out of 10.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's pretty high. So. And I'd like to make a special note that there's an interesting juxtaposition between this movie and another 50s sci-fi alien invasion movie, say for example War of Worlds. This is far more insidious. There's some special effects in this movie, but they're very subtle, and it's just it's very creepy, and it's all about the subtle takeover. It's you don't even see it coming. You just fall asleep.
Suddenly it's there. Yeah.
It just creeps up on you.
Lulls the audience.
And that's a special type. It's a very different type of menace, but it's its own sort of scary. It's its own sort of terrifying, because something like this, like a big giant alien war machine you can see coming, that's its own sort of scary. But this, it's you don't know when it's going to happen. That's a different sort of scary, but it's still terrifying nonetheless. I would have to give it the solid 9 out of 10 because it's
that good.
It's that good. So I highly recommend it. I mean, I think many audiences would appreciate it if you're willing to like look past the 50s style and the black and white. You could still appreciate it because it's that good of a story. It just draws you in. It's that compelling. It has themes that are timeless, sadly, because humans being what they are. So,
Yeah.
And if by some reason you've seen a remake but not the original, go watch the original.
yeah, watch the original.
Watch the original.
You know how it
Start
started.
here. Yeah, start
Yeah,
here.
absolutely.
Because the remakes, they're not bad, but
They're just building. I mean, they're
it's
building.
that classic story.
Yeah.
Invasion of the Body Snatchers, one of the most pinnacle, best 1950s horror movies of all time. I hope it's been informative, guys. Until the next time, tune in to Neon Trash.
Don't get taken over by a car, please.
Don't get your body
Sweet
snatched.
dreams.
Go get your body snatched. Yeah.